Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Spill the Beans. Today I'm sitting down with my dude Chris Cates. He's a member of my mastermind, local here in Charleston, from Maryland originally. He's doing some wholesale stuff, had a full-time job, and just quit. So I'm super excited to sit down with him, talk to him a little bit more about that, what the mindset was, and overcoming some of those fears to leave something that was safe and comfortable in order to jump into something else where he knows his future's way brighter. So if you join my mastermind, I will brainwash your ass in order to believe in yourself and do bigger things. So be careful. Check out this episode of Spill the Beans. As always, if you would, share it, like it, give me some of your biggest takeaways in the comment section, and hope you get a ton out of it. Chris, what's up, buddy? Welcome to Spill the Beans.
Thank you, sir. Happy to be here.
All right, man. So, I know some of your story, all right? And we were talking offline a little bit about some big moves that you just made over the past 30 days or so. So give me high level. I know you're from Maryland and then came down here for work. You live in Charleston now for about the past 4 or 5 years, and just made some swings on what you're gonna be spending your time on moving forward. So give me a little bit of your backstory, dude.
Yeah, so we transitioned down here from Maryland 4 years ago because it was like a lifestyle change, and so coming down to Charleston, in the job and the role I had there to really, I realized that it wasn't enough for me. Like I had a lot more that I wanted to achieve and accomplish in the rat race of a job. And so I started looking into real estate, and I had...
While you were up in Maryland?
No, this was while I was in Charleston.
Once you came down here?
Yeah, and there's, I started networking with other wholesalers, getting on their lists and stuff like that in Charleston, and somebody pushed out a property, and I snagged that property, and when I saw it, it had a $17,500 fee on it. I was like, that's insane. I want to do that. So... I spent the next few months looking into it and figuring out how to do it. Actually networked with that guy. He's actually in your legacy group right now. And we have been collaborating a lot since then. And I started up in last fall.
Was that Wes, Troy?
No, it was Russ Schreiber.
Russ, yeah.
So I started up last fall in Charleston wholesaling, and then I have a partner in DC that I started up with a couple months after that. So we're kind of collaborating in both markets for that.
Nice, man. Love it. So here's what I heard. Like there was something tugging at you up in Maryland. Like I'm meant for more, right? I need to go and do something, really kind of live my life. Come down to Charleston. You get the new job, new role with the same company, right?
Yeah, same company.
Different role. But there was still something still not itching the scratch, or scratching the itch, right?
Right.
So then you found wholesaling, and so you've been wholesaling for essentially the past 3 years?
No, for actually just a year and a half, a little bit less than that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And what has happened over the past year and a half?
So the first year, I made about $500,000 in gross fees for it, and so when I did that, I was like, well, I got this job here that pays me $2,000 pay raises every year, and you might get a bonus at the end of the year, depending on how the company does. And it's like, things don't add up with that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I knew it was just like, when we did that the first year, that's just scratching the surface. There's so much more that you can do. It's the first year, as opposed to a company where, you're locked in. And so just nothing added up with that. And that's what kind of started me with that too. I knew that there's something wrong with the model of working for an organization and just getting that slight bump every year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
yeah, so first of all, it's amazing that you did $500,000 in the first year in gross commissions. At what point? So it was more of like a mathematical equation for you, though, right? Like, hey, I'm working full time over here, making X. I'm working part time over here, making Y. What if I work full time on this, and what does Y turn into, right? Is it more of that, or is it more of like, dude, I'm tired of punching the clock. I'm tired of somebody else telling me when to come to work, when to go home from work, when to take a vacation, when to do all this stuff?
It was a perfect combination of both. It was a lifestyle with family. Like I wanted to be able to be with my family when I wanted, And also I knew from a bandwidth perspective, if you have someone telling you, where to be and when to be there, and you're trying to run a wholesaling operation that's generating $500,000 a year, it doesn't make sense to do that. And from a bandwidth perspective, there's so much. Even when I quit about a month ago, I look back a month and I'm like, man, it's only been a month. Look at all the holes that I've seen from everything we've done that I've been able to improve just because I have the bandwidth and the mental headspace.
We're more on the business instead of just in the business, just doing the activities. Here's so first of all, congrats, man.
Yeah,
30 days ago, leave the job. So after a year and a half of being in real estate, wholesaled enough where you could walk away. I want to go back to that in a minute, but all right. So you left your job 30 days ago. Your wife does not work, right?
She, with the kids.
So she's with the kids. Left as soon as you started making some money in wholesaling, and then tell me what was the conversation like, and what was your headspace like of leaving the job and going full time into real estate? Was there anything that your wife wanted or said, hey, if this then that, or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, and when you first get your first deal in real estate, you're all you're all over the map, excited about everything.
Yeah.
And so I told my wife, I was like, man, this is great. I can quit. We can make this happen. She's like, hold up here. You got to be there for at least a year doing what you're doing. And we have to have 1 year of living expenses saved up.
It's pretty reasonable, though. It's pretty logical.
Well, no, I loved it because it was kind of like the equilibrium. And now that we've done that and gotten that position, I'm really excited because it sets you off on the right foot in such a good way.
No, totally, dude. So you're a member of Legacy Family, right? And been out to Commercial Empire. Got things cranking on all cylinders on the wholesale side of things. And I know you're working on a couple of apartments and multifamily stuff. What does that look like, right? How are you continuing your wholesale business? Because you're not just doing stuff in Charleston, you're doing stuff in Maryland too, right?
Right, yeah.
You're doing stuff remotely, you're doing stuff locally, and then you're trying to bring on the multifamily side of things. What are you doing? How are you still able to run this while focusing on this growth and making sure that you don't have too many balls up in the air?
Yeah, most of it is just by consolidating my roles. So I knew I had a certain marketing niche that I could perform, and so I took that, I copy and pasted over into multifamily and commercial assets. And I also, when I quit, I actually fired myself from acquisitions essentially and told my partner, hey, I need to work on systems and processes and build this out and make everything perfect and make it easier for us. You close deals, that's all you need to do. And so because I'm doing that, I have my head there all the time.
Are you more process oriented or are you more sales driven personally?
Sales comes second. I can do that, but I prefer to defer it to someone else and just make sure, because it drives me nuts when things aren't perfect. And so I look at all of our systems, when I have the headspace, and I'm like, man, all this stuff needs to be more organized. There's all of these KPIs that are out of whack that we need to bring back into focus and all that. And so I'm that type of guy. My partner's more rapport guy, talk to sellers. So it just makes sense to assume those roles. And so I can take that into multi as well. So
what does the rest of your team look like?
We have 4 VAs dedicated to marketing, 2 per market, and then we have a lead manager VA that we've been with kind of since the beginning, and we have a hiring team that we work with as well.
And then what are they doing for you? What are your VAs doing for you?
Cold calling, texting, and so we reach out to 100,000 homeowners a month, and the lead manager basically sets calendar appointments, does the last qualification of a lead before it gets to my partner, and just keeps everything clean and organized, and does the admin work, sends out contracts, just all that stuff. So
how do you keep them in line doing what they're supposed to be doing? You got process maps that you've created for all of them, you've done checklists for all of them?
So before we hired them, I created a training platform for them, and it's like a pipeline that they have to go through. So they have a 1 week training, and it's a collaborative training, and then each week We have a Wednesday marketing meeting where I tell them to tell me one struggle and one achievement from the past week, and then we kind of collaborate over that. And then I pull their phone calls every Friday, and then every Monday I do a 10-minute review with each one of them and say, hey, this is what you did right, this is what you did wrong, this is what you could do better. And so it's definitely, it's something you have to stay on top of, for sure.
No, I like that. You're very aware of where your time is best spent, where your team's time is best spent, what everybody needs to be doing. You're measuring them properly, right? Like that's a big deal. And it's what I always love is like people are like, well, how do I automate my wholesale business and then also get into multifamily, right? I'm making a bunch of money over here flipping houses or wholesaling houses. How do I automate that and then jump over here? It comes down to people and processes, right? Like that's what matters.
That's it.
And making sure you have the right standard operating procedures in place in this business.
Yep.
Make sure you have the right people in place where if you step away, nobody's dropping the ball, right? And then you can come in over here and focus. And dude, it's funny, like, oh, well, how do you find off-market direct-to-seller deals in multifamily? The same friggin' way you do in or in single family, right?
Paste.
Like, it's the same thing. It's just you can go do it in multifamily. You can drive for dollars in single family. You can drive for dollars in multifamily. You can dial for dollars in single family. You can dial for dollars in multifamily. You can send out direct mail in single family and multifamily. You can do all these things. Dude, I got a mailbox, right? I got a phone number, and I own thousands and thousands of doors. People aren't sending me enough mail. People aren't calling me or texting me enough. Not that I want that, but we all build it up to be more in our head than it really is, right? It's just taking the same actions.
And on that note too, when I started building out a team and systematizing everything, I realized that 90% of your tasks and everything that you have to do, when you break them down, someone else can do that 90% better than you if you find the right person, and the 10% is you. And look at how much time you have at the end of the day, and you can put A players on those things that they have a particular gifting at, and take a back seat and make sure it's running right. You know what I mean? So
I've truly found that not that I work less, but the less I'm involved in the daily operations of the business, the more money I make, right? Because I usually create chaos when I step into the business. You're more operationally minded than I am. So like, it's good that you're in there measuring, but like, I got Matt Carlin. Matt Carlin is that guy, right? He's got the analytical more mindset than I do. And they're like, dude, just get out of the office, go back to creating content, right? The more content that I create here, it drives deal flow. It drives money flow. It drives, new vendors, new suppliers, new material that we have access to that maybe we wouldn't have before. New property management firms or joint venture partners or whatever that we could do deals with on the operational side. It drives private money lenders and financiers and mortgage brokers on the money side, and it drives brokers, wholesalers, and investors. People who are looking to level up into apartment buildings that start sending us deals. And like, dude, that's what matters, right? Finding deals, raising capital, and then just refining your operations. If you stay on those things, you're really staying on the revenue line of what actually matters. And so we've, me not being in the weeds and just going out and, creating more content, helping more people, delivering more value, all of a sudden comes full circle and brings more value to the team. They can stay in their zone doing what they're really good at. I stay in my zone doing what I'm really good at. And the less I'm involved in those weeds, man, the more money I continue to make. It's wild how that works.
It is. And once you defer positions to other people, like there's a lot of people who won't do that, and they're one-man show all the way. And in my mind, that's kind of a pride issue. Like you can't grow if you don't want to collaborate with other people, because other people really, if you find the right players, send you to the next level. And I was forced to do that because I had a full-time job. Like I couldn't self-market the entire time. I had to rely on other people, which is kind of a blessing in disguise. So, but it's amazing what you can achieve when you start bringing in the right players instead of relying on yourself.
Yeah, I love those. A lot of times people see constraints as one of those things that holds them back from being able to go out and do something. I've always seen constraints as more of a blessing a way that I actually put constraints on myself and try to create those constraints, because then I have to think outside the box. You know? Then it's not just, well, Tim's just got to put another thing on his plate, and Tim's got to go out and do the work, and Tim's got to go out and make those phone calls, and Tim's got to go out and review the deals, and Tim's got to underwrite it. Dude, if I'm constrained by a certain amount of time that I can dedicate to any activity, that means I have to find better systems. I have to find better processes. I have to find better people to put in place. And I have to think as more of a business owner than just somebody who adds more shit to their plate all the time.
Yeah, and in the end, you're able to do what you do best, which is creating content and just relating to other people and getting your business to that next level for that, which is awesome. You put those players in place and you see your business grow, you know?
One of my mentors always he told me early on, and I was like, I didn't get it at the time, because I was like, oh, I need to run the business, right? I'm the CEO. He's like, no, the CEO needs to be promoting the business. It needs to be selling like the company and the brand and building the brand. Like that's what the CEO should be doing at the highest level, is like pushing the brand, you know, and building the brand and building the company from a visibility standpoint and a recognition standpoint. And that I remember hearing it early on, but it didn't really sit with me. I didn't get it until really over the past maybe 18, 24 months, where I'm like, oh, that's what I get. Like, I should just be talking about the business and what we're doing, creating content, helping other people, and then all of a sudden it comes full circle and allows us to do more deals and be better at what we do. So it's exciting. So tell me about the multifamily deals that you're contracting or in the process of contracting.
Yeah, so, we put out a letter of intent for 52 units in Charleston. So,
love it. 52 doors, a couple of buildings, right?
Yep, 30 unit, 12, and 10. So we're hopeful for that. It seems like there's not a whole bunch of competition there. They might turn a different direction with renovating the property. So we're kind of keeping a close eye. I'm working with a broker, and we have a team on that. So we're pretty confident that we have a good, solid offer for them. So
that's dude, it's impressive, right? A lot of people. And here's, when did you really start paying attention to multifamily?
Probably September, or maybe even August, to be honest with you.
It's been 4 or 5 months, you know? And here's the thing, 4 or 5 months is a long time in the eyeballs of single family, right? If I don't get a deal in 4 or 5 months, like, are you kidding me? 4 or 5 months isn't that long of a time frame in multifamily, especially pick up 50 doors, man. Like, that's really, really impressive to grab that. And people just need to have a longer term mindset, you know. I think we live in this world of instant rice, instant pudding, right? Fast food. Like, people want instant success. They want fast success. And the reality is, maybe, you know, sometimes people get lucky and all that stuff. But the reality, dude, just keep your head down, keep on doing the activities that you know are going to drive traffic, that you're going to keep on prospecting for opportunities, and eventually a ratio will appear. Eventually, you're going to reach out to 50 sellers, no deals. 100 sellers, no deals. 150 sellers, no. 200 sellers, finally found a deal.
Right.
Great, now a ratio appeared.
Yep.
Now I know that if I want to close a deal every month, I need to reach out to 200 sellers.
Exactly.
Right, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit better, and you get a little bit more refined, and you put out better marketing, you see what works, what doesn't work, and over time you get better and better and better, and then all of a sudden you close 2 deals on 200 sellers that you talk to, right? Or you close 2.5 or 3 deals on every seller that you talk to. And all of a sudden, the ratio increases just because you stuck with it long enough and you got better.
And the momentum's key too.
It's everything, man.
Yeah.
And think about all the seeds you're planting. You're planting a seed with this seller who, whether they sell you this deal or they're like, we decided to renovate this one, but we own 200 doors over here that we do want to sell.
Right.
Right? You're developing the relationship across all these different sellers. This isn't a one-time, you know, homeowner who inherited the property from their grandma and grandpa who passed away that just wants to cash out and go on vacation or buy a big screen TV, right?
Yep.
These are people who are in the world of investment.
Right.
They probably don't own just one property. They probably own multiple properties. And it's worthwhile to develop those relationships and connect with these people. Like my goal is to connect with like the biggest owners in town, right? I want the 10 biggest owners in town. I want them to know who I am, that I'm actively buying. Chances are, if they're the 10 biggest owners, chances are they're, I don't know, nearing retirement, you know, at an age where they don't want to work as hard anymore. Maybe their kids don't want the business, you know? And it allows me to go and develop that relationship to the point where they're like, instead of my kids screwing this whole thing up, or me having to list this with a broker, let me just call Tim up. Hey Tim, I got 2,500 doors. You just want to buy them all? Will you buy them all? I'll give you a deal if you just buy them all. I don't want to deal with brokers and this and that. Just buy them all from it. Done, right? I want that phone call. And I want to take down $300 million of property at a time. And that's how you really can scale. And you're a young enough guy where you can start planting those seeds now, and who knows what this can look like in 3 years, 10 years, 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that brings up a good point. Like when you have a property that is a subject property, you have an opportunity to get in front of that person, not just for what's right in front of you, but you want them to be at the they want you want them to have you at the forefront of their mind when they want to sell something else, even if that deal doesn't come through. You want to be that go-to, like, oh yeah, it's Chris. Oh yeah, it's Tim. Let's give him a call. They'll solve our problem. So.
I mean, that's the play, right? A lot of people with short-term mentality, they want a deal right now. If I don't do a deal in the next 12 months, I'm quitting. Right? And it's like, are you here to get rich quick, or are you here to build wealth? If you want to build wealth, that's not an overnight thing.
I mean, that's most of wholesalers' mentalities too. Like most people are looking for the low-hanging fruit, the quick deals, and they don't realize it's relationship cultivation, and it's exponential because you're not dealing with a few multifamily properties. You're dealing with 100,000 homeowners, which it compounds at that point. So.
No, I think there's somebody in our mastermind who came out to a commercial empire in January of 2019. Dude, and hired I think 2 or 3 people to help out with acquisitions, making offer after offer after offer after offer. Dude, going through the motions of looking for deals, connecting with brokers, making offers on deals, and nothing landed. Nothing landed for 12 months, right?
Wow.
So imagine putting forth time, putting forth money, hiring other people. All of a sudden you get in your own head and you're like, I got to close this company down. I got to fire these 3 people that looked at me. And what if he's like, I'm going to give it 12 months. If I don't find a deal, I'm going to quit, right? You know what happened in month 13? We took down 105 units. In month 14, we took down 264 units. In month 15, he bought 50 units on his own. In month 17, 18, we bought another 128 units. Then we bought another 64 units.
That's awesome.
Dude, over 500-600 doors within 18 months.
And once you start, you
what
can't
if he
stop.
quit? What if he quit at 12? What if he's like, I'm going to give it 12 months and then I'm done?
It's a dramatically
and then he quits at 12, and he was 600 doors, like around. He's walking down a dark hallway. All he needed to do was turn the corner, like just get there and turn the corner. In 1 more month, he was right there, a couple more steps. But instead, he's like, nah, I'm out, right?
Yeah.
How many people do that? How many people jump ship just before success sets in? They again, instant rice, instant pudding, instant success. It doesn't exist. Like, you gotta be here. You gotta have staying power. The people with staying power are some of the most successful people that I know.
Well, that's the funny thing about real estate too. That's unlike many other things, is that it's faith-based, right? You have to believe that something's going to come in the future that's not there right now, and you just have to keep going and recognize that, hey, you're doing generally the right thing. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to make tweaks, but you're going the right direction, so keep going.
Yeah, man. I mean, and what has more testimonials than real estate, right?
Right.
Like, you can look around and be like, this person's wealthy, this person's wealthy, this person's wildly rich, this person's wealthy, this person's got time freedom, has the lifestyle that I want. Like, all real estate people. So it's not an experiment, right? Like, it works. All you got to do is just stick around, just keep on doing the activities, and it will work for you too. It just, people jump shit, and it boggles my mind of why they would do that, especially in real estate, because like we were talking before, there's no better asset class, right? Like, I've dedicated my life to wealth and personal finance and just studying this stuff because it's always been fascinating, business development, and it's always been fascinating to me. And if there was something out there that was better, I would be doing that.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing better than commercial real estate. The tax benefits, the scale of it, the equity building, the cash flow of it, the depreciation of it. It's like how it combats inflation and all the, you got fixed rate debt. Like, dude, all the components that make up commercial real estate.
It's a no-brainer.
It smokes everything. Safety and stability of it, of having a tangible asset versus an like, guess what, man? Like, right now, toe-to-toe against anything else, I would take commercial real estate over any other wealth-building tool. Yeah. So that being said, why don't more people do it, right? Why don't they stick with it? Like, they don't have the belief. I guess I've done enough deals where it's like ingrained in me and I know what's possible there. And I just wish more people would see it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of unknowns when you start real estate. I mean, it's just like any venture though, too. It's like there's more, how do I do this, than, you know, I already know how to do this typically. And so I think that when you have all these wheels you have to start turning from ground zero, like it can, I think certain people, it can intimidate them instead of realizing once these wheels are turning, it's not going to stop. They're going to keep going if I'm doing it the right way and talking to the right people, you know? For sure.
So what, for somebody who's watching this, that wants to go from single family into multifamily, what kind of one or two actions would you put in place for them to say, hey, here's how to automate this, and then what are the one or two things that you would do over in multifamily to start getting deal flow in as quickly as possible, knowing what you know over the past 18 months?
I would say just generally speaking, realize that there's an actual translation of time loss if you are not backfilling yourself, and if you don't have the right team to step in with what you're doing. And so
on the existing business.
So there's that. And then also, so you need to be conscious of that and actually document those things and make sure you're condensing that or handing certain things off or condensing your roles between multi and that and making sure it all makes sense, right?
Yep.
And then also, when you go to multi, don't do something completely different. Whatever you've been good at with single family, you know, keep doing that. It's a different asset class, but when it comes down to it, you're still finding real estate opportunities. Mm-hmm. Do that same thing you're doing in single family, whatever it is, and don't change it.
The same seller motivations exist, right?
Yep.
The probate leads and the divorce leads and the natural disaster, something occurs, at the property or in the market cycle or in the marketplace, like. All that stuff is still out there where there's motivated sellers who care more about getting this, asset off their books and getting this headache off their plate rather than getting the most dollars for the property at that time.
Right, and in particular, like if you're doing cold calling and that's your thing, don't say, hey, I'm gonna run Facebook ads for multifamily properties when you know nothing about it, or hey, I'm gonna create a website that, maybe it'll drive some traffic here. Just do what you've already, been doing and
instead of doing something different, just stick with that and just pivot to a different asset class.
Right, exactly.
So what does the next 36 months look like for you? Where do you see yourself?
Man, 36 is too far out. I'm thinking the next year I'd like to have 500 doors is what I'm going for by the end of next year. Uh-huh. And I feel like, 36, every year there's such a recalibration of goals, like when you start achieving and you realize how much you can achieve. So mm-hmm. when I look 36 months out, I know 1 year from today it's going to look completely different. Yep. When I lock in that 1 year goal of 500 doors, and another 1 year goal is to fire myself from my business essentially, mm-hmm. and figure out how to make that happen. So
what would you say is the highest and best use of your time to hit those 500 doors?
Continuing to collaborate and build the power team of those A players that want to achieve those same things. Mm-hmm. Because it's not going to happen alone. Yep. Like it's a team and it's a collaborative effort, which a lot of people don't realize. They think it's me, but it's really realizing, hey, this person's good at this person's great at that. Let's all, get together and make some magic happen with it,
Yep. Much more of a team sport, and I agree. I think, one of the key things is the leading aspect, being a leader of your organization.
Yeah.
painting the vision. Here's what we're doing. Here's where we're going.
Yeah.
And I want you to come with me, right? Here's what your responsibilities are. Here's how we're going to measure that. And if you hit that, guess what? We're going to keep rocking and rolling, and it's going to lead to more opportunity or more,
Right.
More opportunity, I guess, on their part as well. So, yeah, I think I need to spend more time with my team. Hey, what are we doing? Where do you see gaps? Where can we get better? Like, that's something that I don't do enough. I usually do it once over like the holidays, and I need to be doing that on at least a quarterly basis. And I know some guys who do it on a monthly basis with their team, and the cool thing about that is they can right the ship a lot quicker, if they're doing that. But yeah, just trying to get feedback and stuff from the team and try out different things. And I try to give my team a lot of autonomy in making their own decisions and testing out different things. And if it flops, who cares, right? Like,
yeah, and the thing I've realized too in this past year is the more you grow, whether it's personnel or revenue based or anything else, the more you see holes and things that need to be not really fixed but corrected, and a further collaboration effort. And but when you do that, it makes your system that more like lean and mean and defined at that point, and you're able to kind of get to that next level. But in that growth phase, a lot of times it exposes, and this is something I've realized with my business, it exposes a lot of those inefficiencies that really,
for sure,
need to be fixed.
They get amplified.
Right.
The good stuff and the bad stuff gets amplified as you grow.
Right.
If you don't have a good, now here's the thing. I don't want anybody to get paralyzed of saying, hey, I need to have like everything perfect before I just focus on taking down properties. Take down a property, organically as you do each deal, reflect on it. How'd it go with how I found it? The marketing efforts, how I raised the money, how I structured it with the financing, and how we took it down, and who's managing it, and who renovated it, and who's taking care of the asset management, all this. And like, dude, you refine, and you do an 8-unit deal, and then you do a 12-unit, and then you do a 20-unit, then you do 52 units, and then you just keep on growing that way and refining as you go. You will tighten up your systems, you'll tighten up your operations, you'll keep on correcting the foundation, because I think sometimes people think that everything's got to be in place before they really go and do that. I'd rather see people take action and then refine. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what my business has turned into. It's like massive action, massive growth, and then we refine. Like, that's what would happen this year. We grew in 18, 19, and 20, and then this year we've scaled back, trimmed the fat, refined operations, and now we're going to grow in 22, 23, 24, and then I know we're going to probably scale back again for another year, and then grow, and I think that's a natural, shedding of the skin, right? So that way you can grow, but you gotta go through that process.
Yeah, and in the end too, with that, it's easy to have kind of a fearful approach with that growth, and like, crap, all these problems popped up, but in the end, it deal by deal, marketing dollars, KPIs, data can make that decision better than your emotions, even with that, because there's going to be those problems. Just look at the numbers, look at where the problems are. That's something I've had to really grow into and learn, and just be more analytical and a lot less like emotional, like, crap, we didn't get a deal in the last few weeks, like, what's going on,
well, why? Let's go look at the data. Right,
exactly.
And then you can go and dissect the data, and the data's going to tell you, hey, you stopped marketing, or this person was out for a week, didn't make calls, or whatever that looks like, and then you can kind of go and figure out what that issue is. But yeah, man, when you're just making decisions emotionally,
right,
there's no backing justification on why or where, or giving you direction on how to do it,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so what does your team need to look like in order to hit that 500 unit goal over the next 12 months?
That's a good question. I want to take down, there's an extent to which I'm taking it kind of a deal at a time, somewhat, not stopping marketing and what I'm doing, but when I take down these units, what I really want to do is just funnel that into momentum to continue to build a team and figure out what that looks like from a marketing approach, and because that's what I like to specialize in, because that brings in the business, right? And so it's kind of a one deal at a time, keep putting dollars back in and growing it,
Who's raised? Have you guys had to raise money on the single family side at all?
We do have some private money lenders that we've worked with.
Have you told them that you're looking to get into multifamily?
We haven't, no.
Have you talked to anybody that you're looking to get into multifamily?
There's some
any
people,
of these money lenders or any of these folks that...
There's some people that we would be on our short list to contact, like within the Legacy Group and other stuff as well. So
there's people that actually, have invested in multifamily before, would be interested in other multifamily deals.
Are aware of the asset. I'm not really too keen on like trying to help family understand, the value of the, multifamily. Invest where you already know.
You're talking about your personal family.
Right. So invest where you already know, right? Don't,
Yeah,
I think. No point in.
Yeah, I think. So, word of advice: I would at least let people know. Say, hey, I got 52 deals, submit an LOI on. Conversations are going well. Probably coming down the pipeline in the next 60, 90 days max.
Yeah.
Would you have any interest in getting involved, right? And passively partnering up on the investment side.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good way of asking them to work with you and passively invest in your projects without actually getting them there. But dude, it allows you to plant a bunch of seeds, right? And I would plant those seeds with your hard money lenders on the single family side too. Who knows? Like I've taken a lot of my single family lenders, and like they're like, hey, they're in the transactional world too of just like wholesalers and flippers. They got to go do another deal. They got to go do another loan in order to get paid again. And yeah, it's high interest, but then they have to underwrite it again and go through that whole process.
Right.
I've taken a lot of my hard money lenders on the single family side and said, hey, what if I pay you a lower annual dividend, interest rate, whatever, preferred return, but I'll kick you some equity in the deal forever, right? And I'll cycle your money out in 36 to 60 months, get you your money back, and then you still maintain that equity forever, and then we can get into another deal, and then another deal, and then another one, and then another one, right? And then how many times can we do that? And there's a lot more investors than you might think willing to go from a 15% return down to a 8 to 10% return in order for it to have that long-term wealth building component of the equity in deals, because that equity in deals also gives them depreciation and principal pay down and appreciation and combats inflation and all these other benefits, right, that their hard money loans don't. Their hard money loans are taxed at regular income tax bracket rates, right? There is no depreciation on that. There is no wealth building component on that. It's a fixed dividend, and that's it. So I think most people would be surprised if they went and talked to their hard money lenders and offered them lesser of a return on their investment, but gave them an equity component. But you got to spell it out, right? I mean, because they're just looking at the surface value of what's the return on investment. That's not going to be enough. So you got to explain there's all these other benefits, and the depreciation can offset the interest income when you lend it to other people, or the cash flow that you get from this. So yeah, man, I would start planting those seeds, dude. And it's just like you're always marketing. You got to always be planting seeds for money.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, it's something we learned just with our properties that we've used private money on too with single family, is like we had the hard money options, but with private money we advertised a different rate and people were really excited about it, and we're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't have even told them a rate. Maybe we should have asked them what rate they wanted for it.
I think you'd be surprised. I think most people, if they can get an 8 or 9% return, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Steady, consistent, without the variability of and volatility of the market going up and down nonstop. Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where there's somebody in Legacy Family, right, who came from the traditional investment world. He's just same way that you're marketing like crazy for deals. He's been marketing like crazy for money, and he's running Facebook ads and Instagram ads and
that's awesome.
All sorts of stuff. And he's got these people opting in, filling out a form, all accredited investors, and saying, hey, here's how much money I'd be willing to deploy in the next 12 months, liquid cash, and here's the return that I get.
So he's starting an actual fund with that.
And then he raises money on a deal by deal basis.
Gotcha.
So he doesn't have like an open-ended fund.
Awesome.
But he raises money on a deal by deal basis. But he's got over $1 billion of liquid cash that wants to be deployed in the next 12 months. Whether they deploy it with him or not is a different story. I know he's raised tens of millions in about 6 months.
That's awesome.
But you know what the average return that they want? 9%. Wow. Without equity.
A flat 9 without equity.
Without equity, without
Wow.
anything else. So when he goes to them and says, hey, let me pay you a 6 or 8% pref with equity, all of a sudden it lands really, really well, and they're like, I'm all in, you know. Guys, like, I don't know how your parents are, but my dad's like super conservative, and he's like, yeah, if I could get an 8% return, I would take that all day across all my investments without any. Not saying that there's no risk in real estate, but backed by a tangible asset, right? Backed by a something that has cash flow and has some substance behind it as well. He's like, I would take that all day. I was like, well, Dad, give me all your money then. What are you doing? You know?
Yeah. Forget mutual funds.
Yeah.
So this other investor too, was he promising a certain asset class and a certain?
It's mostly in hypotheticals, right? And meaning like, hey, I've invested in these kinds of properties, multifamily, and he does a lot of self-storage kind of stuff and some other things. And he's like, we invest in these. Here's how we structure it. We kick you, or we pay a preferred return of X, and then we refinance or we sell or whatever, and then you also get a percentage of the profits. Or if we refinance and hold it, you get a percentage of that equity forever. But you get all your money back, and you still maintain your equity. And dude, he's explaining how we do deals, right? And there's been a huge amount of people who have shown interest in doing that.
Yeah, I like that too, because he's finding what he's good at and he's creating his value add for any property that comes along, whereas, you know, I'm kind of doing that on the marketing side. And marketing man can come to, you know, fundraise man and say, hey, let's get together and get this deal happening, and, you know, it's a team at that point, you know? So
I think staying in your lane, right? Goes back to what you said. It's a team sport, right? Staying in your lane, focusing on that activity. If you focus on finding deals, I focus on raising money, I don't have to worry and take a brain space about finding deals. You don't have to worry and take a brain space about raising money.
Right.
And all of a sudden, dude, you get better, right? You get more refined. I get better. I get more refined, which makes me able to raise more money, which makes you able to find more deals. And all of a sudden, because neither of us have to be taking care of each other's efforts, 1 + 1 = 3. We can do more together versus what you could do if you were trying to do a little bit of both, or what I could do if I was trying to do a little bit of both. You know? So that team effort and understanding of staying in your lane and staying focused on what you're really, really good at, man. That's especially once you start growing the team, that's a game changer.
Yeah, 100%. If you're doing 5-10 different jobs when you have a team, it's not going to work well.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yep.
Well, that's good, man. Well, I'm excited. What is the next? Give me like the 60 to 90 day sprint. Once we hit the new year, this is going to drop, I think, the first week in January. So now that we hit the new year, right? We're about to. But what's the next 60 to 90 days look like to get just fast traction on your 500 doors?
So the next 60 to 90 days, we want to close those 52 units in 60 days. So if we can get those closed and, you know, all the capital.
So you get those under contract, but that's the goal, right? What's the massive action you're taking right now that's going to create that predictable 500 doors over the next 9 months? Like, what are you going to just work your ass off on over the next 60, 90 days?
I'm going to continue to collaborate on partnerships in other states and other locations of the U.S. That's what I've kind of done to stretch out my marketing, because you burn through marketing a lot quicker in multis as well. There's not as many, right? So it's more of a relationship-based marketing than it is just like churn and burn marketing. Right. And so there's people in other states that I've already collaborated with where it's like, hey, we'll put dollars here in January, and they're like, well, what do I owe you? And it's like, nothing. You're just going to be boots on ground. We're going to collaborate. You're going to be the boots partner.
Love it.
So
that's a great way, man, to stay in your lane, provide a ton of value to somebody else, and at the same time get equity in deals. And what I like about that is, man, like, you're working your tail off for, 60 or 90 days, let's call it, in order to find a deal, and then they take the deal down. If you're just getting equity for finding the deal and you got, 3, 5, 10% equity in that deal for 60 days worth of effort, and then all of a sudden they own that building for the next 20 years,
it's a game changer.
That's a pretty good setup, dude. 60 days of effort for 20 years of wealth building. How many times can you do that and own a percentage of all these different pies all around the country? And it gives you a lifestyle, right? Once your job's done, you're hands off. Let somebody else operate it, and let them run it. And it's a very scalable or leverageable, I would say, effort that you're putting forth on the marketing side.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I love it, dude. Double down on it. But
cool.
It's been awesome having you, man. Cheers. Happy New Year. Excited to watch all the growth over the next 12 months, homie.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Good stuff. Appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully you got a ton of takeaways. Put it in the comment section what your biggest takeaway was and what kind of like any aha moments that you might have had. And if you would hit the like button, just so we get a little bit more exposure. I'm trying to help as many people as we possibly can by creating all this free content. So it really supports us if you share it, if you like it, if you comment, and it gets some more eyeballs on it. So appreciate you guys. Until next time, I'll see you on Spill the Beans. Be your best.